And we're on air.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to another episode of Beefing with the Boys.
Today,
I'm Jeremy Kane.
I'm Nick Sullivan.
And we have the
Miss Bella Martin.
What do you want to talk about?
Anything.
It's an honor to be here with you.
All right.
Start with
Crisp. That touches the soul. That touches the soul.
That was good.
What'd you give me?
A 9-2 on yours.
Am I gotta be biased and go like 9-1,
you did that
9-2?
last time.
I know.
Be more original.
I'm going 8-7.
I wanna go like I'll give it a solid 9. The gap between the open and the pop was just a little
hair long.
A hair long
I
for me,
felt it.
which is a hair long for me. That's just my personal preference. But that was sexy.
That was good.
What an experience.
That was great.
I'm like kind of like
glad we
really
got that
excited now.
together.
That was a really good
Set the
start
tone.
for us.
Yeah.
So we have Bella on. Bella, welcome to the show. Obviously we did some cool stuff with you in San Diego, and you have known Nick for a while, and obviously we got introduced together. Tell us, I guess, tell everyone out there, what is it that you kind of contribute in the fitness space? Because I think it's like really easy to be like, oh, I'm the MC. But I think there's a lot more that I know that you do, but like kind of let everybody know, like, what is it that you do in the fitness space and kind of your passion project?
Yeah.
That's a loaded question. I think
I ask really deep questions, so.
I think generally I'm a professional yapper. So I
Nice.
talk on shows, I do MC work, I do sideline reporting. If you want someone to talk about something, I'll be the one to talk about it, which is really fun because I love to talk.
Yeah.
So you probably have to shut me up at some point. That's great. I also mentor the teen athletes. That's something I started doing this year. And I think that's something that I wish I had when I was a teenager, especially growing up, being in sport as a young girl. It's something, as I am growing older, it's more important to me to be that for them because it's something that I didn't have that I wish I did.
Interesting.
So there's that. Yeah.
With that,
Yeah.
another deep one. What's your life purpose then?
Ooh. I don't know, to bring joy to others, probably. In many ways. I think telling other people's stories means a lot more to them than necessarily it does to me. And when you know someone's name and you say it correctly, that goes a really long way. And I learned that early on with what I do. And that just snowballed and translated into, oh, well, if I can get your name right, I can probably say a lot of other really cool things about you, and you're going to like me so much more. And then you're going to be happy, and then your family's going to be happy. So I think just like bringing joy to other people, whatever that looks like.
Interesting. When you talk about like mentoring teen athletes, I'm assuming you're saying CrossFit space, right? What's
now.
Yeah, for now, because we always want to develop and improve.
Right.
I guess what is a commonality that you see teens either struggling with, or what's your most common advice that you're giving these teen athletes?
Oh, they take it way too seriously. I have 14-year-olds talking to me about burnout from a season that is from February to July. And that breaks my heart that 14-year-olds are feeling that way because they shouldn't. It should be fun. I also think with the girls specifically, the pressure that they're putting on themselves to succeed and to thrive and to be at the top at 14 is unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Do you see more so the kids putting that on themselves or the parents heavily involved in that?
I'm not going to say anything on names, but I do think there's a definite kind of dance moms-ish type parenting to some of the athletes where the parents see a new sport that's emerging and maybe they didn't have the sport history that they wish they did, or maybe in their minds they did, and they're putting that pressure on the kids. And then the kids, they don't even realize that. And it's coming from a really loving place, but you cannot live vicariously through your kids. Especially when it comes to sport, you just can't.
Yeah, especially in a sport like CrossFit where it's just such a heavy demand mentally. It's not, and the reason why I say that is like, things like football, baseball, basketball, that demand could be put on somebody, but it's also like really fun to play.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of people that like do a workout for time that's like really difficult. It's like, wow, that was a blast.
Well, it kind
It's
of
always this like
depends, though.
internal push of like, I just want to be better as an athlete. I want to improve my fitness level, but I can go play flag football even now as an adult and have the best time. And I'm really sore and I push myself, whatever. And so I think that's what's interesting about the CrossFit space is it's like this weird dynamic where it's like you're signing up to struggle for a long period of time. Because you're also a coach, right? You coach at a gym?
Sometimes. I used to be way more involved in coaching. Now I just do
really?
it 'cause I love it.
Yeah.
So
Do you see a knowledge gap or kind of this misunderstanding of, obviously you're heavily involved with the sport at a high capacity. Do you see a level of confusion from people that are coming into a everyday class and maybe a games level athlete or high performing athlete?
100%. I think when you're coaching, sometimes you'll get people that walk in and it's their first day. They've never touched a barbell before. They don't know the difference between anything. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to the games. And it sucks to be the person that looks someone dead in the face and is like, I'm so glad you're here. You're probably not. And that's okay. Like, that's totally fine. That is a journey that is probably not for you. If it happens, I'm so stoked for you, but it's probably not. I think there's some people that come in and they expect and they assume that that's what happens when you get fit. And then there's some people that do it for life. And I think everybody could do it for life if they want to. I think it's a phenomenal way to stay fit and healthy. Now, does everybody need to have professional aspirations? No. Should they? Also no. So I think trying to navigate that way of encouraging someone to be better, if that's something they truly want, but you have to also understand what that means.
Yeah.
Because it's not just being fit. Being fit's not going to make you any money.
Yeah.
It's really not.
Yeah, I think, it's something I've kind of transitioned to recently, is just kind of working out more for health and to look good, but still utilizing it in a functional fitness manner. I'm one of those people, and Nick can attest to this, like, I'm just like, I compete in CrossFit. I like it as a sport. I would be the last one to say that I train CrossFit. I think. Interesting. Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I never compete, never want to, never have wanted to, but I would say I train CrossFit.
Yeah, I just, even when I was at a semi-finals level caliber athlete, I would be like, no, I don't do CrossFit. Yeah, I think, where it stems from.
Why is that?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Well, my background's exercise physiology. And I think that there's confusion in terms of CrossFit being a sport versus it being a way to work out.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
And I think, from a coaching standpoint, CrossFit didn't create anything new. They created high intentional interval training packaged into a 1-hour class, and it sells really well. But in order to get more fit, you have to do strength and conditioning principles.
Yes.
And I think that's the longer sustainable way of doing it. I think for those individuals that are constantly on the floor, like almost passed out because they've like tried so hard to like suffer, those are the people, from my coaching experience that come to me and, they haven't PR'd anything in a year and a half. They're puffy because their adrenals are so shot that they hold on to inflammation. They can't process hormone correctly. Their sleep is terrible, but they're doing paleo and they're on the floor after every workout.
Love it.
And there was like always this confusion for me of like, hey, like why, if someone needs to get better at pull-ups, why did they not go through an 8-week cycle of back squats, dumbbell rows, strict pull-ups, EMOM work, building volume, intensity over time? That's essentially strength and conditioning principles.
Yes.
And then when you go to compete in the sport, there's a level of specificity. It's like, all right, let's do 4 weeks, 6 weeks of 4-time workouts. Because, then this is like nerd shit that I'm getting into, but like, then you look at like the time that it takes to get someone in shape. Strength and aerobic capacity takes the longest. Lactate processing, which is what 4-time shit workouts are, is the quickest. So if you wanted to get someone really in shape for a competition, depending on the individual variable, it could be anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks.
Right.
Versus stronger, more endurance, aerobic capacity that has nothing to do with processing fatigue is, a lot longer of a process.
Right.
And so, and where the individuality standpoint comes from is like, there's athletes out there that can get, like I have a couple of tactical athletes that I know I can get in peak shape in 2.5 weeks. Just from like, hey, just do all this like long aerobic strength training, and then like we're gonna hit really hard intensity where like you're on the floor for like 2 weeks, you'll be the best shape of your life. I have other people that are 7 weeks, 8 weeks. And so that was just always my philosophy behind it. It's like, but it made it more fun and sustainable, like over a long period of time, knowing that like, oh, I'm just gonna like get better. And then when I have to, first couple workouts back are gonna suck, but then I'm gonna be really good because I built a high baseline.
That's fair.
Now, I think that really applies to sport. And then if you have the ability to do an open gym, I think classes can be a really good way to keep people in shape that just don't have the capability or want to like do a long drawn out training program.
It's also the knowledge too. A lot of people that come into gyms don't know what they're doing and they don't know why they're doing it. So just get them into a class.
Yeah.
That's like the easiest thing to do. Let me teach you. And then if you think, however long later, oh, I have the tools, I'm good on my own. Cool. Go be on your own. That's fine. Go do 2-a-days, whatever. But I need to give you the knowledge first.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things you touched on that I think would be interesting to get both of your perspectives on is, you'd mentioned the payment of CrossFit in a way. I forget exactly in the context you put it, but as you know, I think you guys both represent brands on a kind of a higher level. You know, from your guys' perspective, what do you think from these individuals that are trying to make CrossFit a full-time job, and what would your advice be to the teens or maybe the people that just kind of aren't like quite like, I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. Like, what is it about the sport that rather draws people, or like I would say shy away from, like, hey, just so you know, here's what it really looks like on the inside?
Let's unpack it. There's two different ways, I think. Actually, let's go with three. So if you're going to go with physical performance, there's the professional CrossFitters, and then there's the elite CrossFitters. So there's the professionals that are going and competing all the time, that are making the money. And they'll probably make, I mean, I know some athletes have made 30K just by winning events. And they're not even big events, but they're competing every week. That sucks. If you want to make money doing it, you can. Then there's the elite competitors that are going to the games, that are going to Rogue, that are doing all of these invitationals. They're making money. They might be making less money, but they're still making money. And there's a difference, because I wouldn't say the professional CrossFitters are the elite. If that makes sense.
Interesting.
I've always felt that there's a distinction between the two.
Well, I guess that's a parallel you can draw to, like, you know, we get brand deals, and there's elite level or professional, I guess, high rocks people said sport, and it's like, we're getting it for the content that is produced, and
but you're marketable. And not every athlete is marketable. Just because you're fit, you're not going to make money.
That's a big.
There's a difference
too. Almost like that imposter syndrome, where it's like, I'm not like a professional athlete, so why?
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter how fit you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's something, you know, we love LSKD. I know you're involved with LSKD as well. And one of the things they always talk about is community. And I think that's something that we pride ourselves on, is like, our community is like really involved with us. Like they love kind of what we got going on. They buy into the videos we do. And that's why we do these little challenge videos and workouts with all these other trainers and these series videos. It's because, like, we post them, and it's like, people like hit us up, like all the pops. We get people responding to our pops. We get people responding to like the jokes we do, like whatever it is. Like, people really buy into the community aspect. Right. And sometimes I think, you know, I could name a handful of athletes off the top of my head that like no one would know who they are. Like, but they dedicate their entire life to trying to make it to CrossFit Games.
You guys are also relatable, though.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean? There's a lot of these athletes, especially in my position, I get to talk to all of them. And there's some that make so much more money than the others that are fitter than them, but it's because they're funny to be around. They're exciting. They have a good story. They're marketable. They're relatable. And then there's the athletes that maybe they're winning everything, but it's like talking to a wall, and it's not that fun. And they don't have a great story. They just happen to be really good at fitness. And then they've been able to afford to continue to do that. So.
Real quick pause. Is drugs off limits?
I mean, we can talk about it.
I think it's interesting, you know, when we talk about people really committing themselves to the games, because the CrossFit at a high level is a really interesting sport.
Yes.
And, you know, right, wrong, and different, I think everyone has their own opinion, but I'm curious, like, where do you think maybe drugs play a spot in the sport? On any level. I think you could do it in a CrossFit box. You can do it, and I almost want to take out CrossFit, because it could just be like in fitness in general.
Yes.
Like, you know, I think, and where I'm going with this is like, what is truly attainable. I think we had mentioned that, where it's like, you know, you look at these Instagram influencers that are shredded and like buy my 12-week dumbbell only program. And it's like, bullshit. It's like same kind of thing. I think you can apply it to football players. You can also apply it to maybe CrossFit Games athletes of like, hey, like, is some of the stuff they're doing like truly, I know like people, I am aware of people like to where it's just like, it's out there where it's like, hey, it's not that uncommon, I feel like.
I think the use of performance enhancing drugs is more common now than maybe it ever was, not even necessarily at the elite level.
Really?
Like, I know just regular people in life that are taking peptides, that are taking all of these performance enhancing, you know, whatever it is, and they're just normal people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's crazy.
So it's interesting you said that, right? Because when I was heavily involved in the sport, I think it was a question I got asked frequently, like, hey, at the top level, do you think they're taking it? But everyone always alluded to, are they pumping loads of testosterone?
Right, and they're not.
And I always said, like, I don't think it's a high level of testosterone. Trickling, maybe. But I, right, like doing a little TRT dose, probably. But I would allude probably to guess, I don't know this for fact, but for someone out there trying to snipe me on it, but I would say that they are optimizing to the elite level. And what I mean by optimizing is, you talked about peptides.
Right.
You got peptides, red light therapy, like all of these other things that aren't an actual like drug.
Right.
But then you trickle in the peptides, the little things that can rather clear your system wicked fast. Or if you could just time it right. And, you know, I think this holistically creates this kind of push to be like, oh, you're amazing.
Well, it's interesting because there's optimizing human performance and then there's testing fitness. CrossFit Games is not even a sport. The CrossFit Games is a test.
Yeah.
It's how fit are you? What can you handle if we throw it at you?
Yeah.
It's not even, I mean, it's just a test. So sign up for the test and do it right. If you're going to go to the games, sign up for the test and agree that you're not going to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all I ask.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Just take the test. Don't cheat the test. If you want to cheat the sport, whatever, but don't cheat the test.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, because then you could kind of allude to like people just doing everyday CrossFit.
Right.
And I think, you know, there's a lot more research that's coming out. I'd have to like really read into it in terms of peptide use, right? In terms of like,
It's a lot.
yeah, it's a lot to kind of digest. But you know, I know one of the things that like I had to, when I had double knee surgery, they prescribed me a peptide that was to fix joint health. It was my knee. I had to have 2 knee surgeries.
PPC 157.
Yep. Yeah, and so it's like, you know, do I think there's practical application for optimization? Absolutely. But what you alluded to is like, if you're signing up for something, understand the rules that you got to play by.
Thank you.
Now, are people bending the rules? I think so, absolutely. They do it in every aspect of life, right? Like someone's going to find a way around it. But generally speaking, you know, it's just an interesting concept that like, when you say, and it goes back to influencers where it's like, is that really what you look like, or you have help? And it's like same thing. I think there's that mixed messaging potentially at the games where it's like, you know, hey, we know this person, blah, 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 to where it's like, like, is it really attainable, or is it something like, and the reason why I think it's important, I could care less personally about someone doing it.
Right.
Could care less.
Choose your own journey.
What I fear is the 20-year-old athlete that I do one-on-one coaching for, whose only goal is to make it to the CrossFit Games, and then knowing what happens behind the scenes from my limited perspective. Like, I'm not even like that plugged into the sport, but even I know of some things, to where it's like, how do I then look at this kid knowing what kind of needs to take place for him to get there and be like, yeah, like I can get you there. Like,
I will get you as fit as I possibly can.
Yeah.
That is the only thing a coach can offer, is I can get you as fit as I can naturally.
Yeah.
If you choose to do something that you're not supposed to do on your own, that's your choice.
Yeah.
But that's not your job as a coach to like push them to do that. Your job is just to get them fit.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the easier job.
Yeah, right. And I think it's a fine balance of like, you know, what happens when you add in so much volume to where your testosterone just tanks.
Right.
And then it's like, well, then you have no option but to, like, one of the things I always allude to is in SEER school for the military. It's 3 weeks, just draining you, no sleep, no food. The number one thing that these guys get out of SEER school and do is they go and get their testosterone checked, because it's like 100% going to be tanked, and then they like immediately get prescribed TRT, and like then all of a sudden like 6 months later they're just like stacked. But it's like, you know, I could easily see a scenario be where it's like, you know, these guys that are training for 6 hours a day, oh, I'm not feeling the best, and they go get their blood work done. It's like, you know, what is it really?
It's unhealthy. The level of fitness that they're doing is unhealthy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that actually brings up, to get off the games aspect or athletes from specific, I think that's an interesting question I would pose is like, you know, what is your belief on terms of like both end of the spectrum being completely unhealthy? I personally think that on an elite level of anything, it's unhealthy.
Yes.
And then obviously the lazy side of things is unhealthy as well.
Absolutely. There's beauty in the middle. Like there's some weeks that you're going to train twice a day often. Is that healthy? Not necessarily. There's also gonna be weeks where you don't train at all and you're just lazy and you're doing whatever you want to do. Neither one is right. Neither one is wrong. Both of them are unhealthy.
What does your current fitness routine look like?
I do too much. So I have a coach that programs for me. So I do everything that he has me do.
Okay.
It could be 2 hours a day. It could be 3. But I also, my toxic trait is I'll never say no. So if someone wants to go do fitness, whatever that is, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
If it's, I've already trained and someone wants to go run, cool, let's go run. Someone wants to go do yoga. Okay, well, I already ran and I trained, but let's go do it. I won't say no because I love movement so much that cool, I'll do it. But if there's a day that I feel absolutely smashed, I'm the first person to just stay home.
Yeah, interesting. And do you find that kind of like do you find movement being like, I always view like movement as medicine.
Yeah.
Do you kind of see that as like a peaceful thing for you?
I think so. I think emotionally it's helpful when you're processing things to just get in, do what you need to do, and kind of spend time alone.
Yeah.
And I train alone every day anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You don't have like a squad or anything?
No, last like 3 years just been me. I
Interesting.
love it because I'm always around people.
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I work out by myself. Like even, I mean, Nick moved here and
We worked out
like
You guys never hang
once.
out? Never work out?
We work out
do,
near each other.
occasional, yeah.
But like,
Just,
I
like-
would say a handful, and that's even a stretch.
Yeah.
A handful of times have we been like, we're gonna do this workout together.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. It's
Well, that's
like,
fine. You also don't have the same goals.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
yeah. I mean, my workout routine right now is
Wait, when was the last time you power cleaned other than today? Right?
TFX.
no,
did
we
some
did
power
that
cleans with,
300 like in April.
Yeah, and then we did a couple with like when Faith was in town and
Oh yeah,
light,
like
light.
like I would say like a power clean session
Yeah.
was legitimately probably a TFX in January when I did 360.
Love that for you.
I think since then I like jumped in with him one time cleaning, and whatever he got to is just what I went to, and like I'm fortunate enough I'm just a little bit stronger than he is, so it's like when he got to that threshold, like I did it and I was like, cool, we're calling it there, like let's stop. And then another time was Faith Cook, an athlete.
love her.
Yeah, I coach
love
her
her.
for
She's great.
she's doing the HyperCon games here in a couple weeks.
She's so
And so she came into town. She actually come into town this weekend to do some training, and I had her do some cleans. I think I was throwing around 245. Like again, that's like a lighter kind of stimulus for me. But yeah, I haven't done like any hardcore strength training, so my training is really different from Nick's, but so we work out in the same kind of area. I also test a lot of stuff for our community, so I view, as a coaching perspective, I view it as like an art almost, like building out something that's just like is fun is like cool to me, but I have to test it to make sure, like there's times I've given Nick something and it's like he's like, dude, this is too much.
Yeah.
It's happened one too many times. Dude, my hamstring's really fucking bothering me.
Yeah, we did some sprint work, and first time I sprinted with Tim, hurt my quad. Today was Jeremy's turn, and
I won
Am
that
I the only
race.
one getting out of here uninjured?
I won the race. I will say
I feel
that.
great.
I won the race.
He won the race.
But I've definitely
He got a point for that.
hurt.
He did say he was impressed with you, but that was early on, and then he never said it again. So.
No, when I beat him, he was like, "You got me."
Okay, you did?
You got
Okay.
me. Yeah. And I was like, "Damn straight."
Yeah, dude.
Damn straight.
You got the sprint. I got the hops.
Okay. So one of the things, I think was interesting. I met you in person for the first time, like what, 3 weeks ago, a month ago. What does kind of your life look like in training when you're traveling around all these events around the world? You're going to New Zealand
New Zealand and Australia.
soon, and then obviously you just came from Alabama.
Yep.
How do you balance the travel and workouts?
It kind of depends. It used to be, before I started working with my coach Dom, it was I would train as hard as I can and I'd slam my body to the point where when I travel, I just wouldn't really want to train. And then when I would get to train, it would never be with intention or with purpose. It would just be, okay, do whatever you got to do. Now he is my schedule and we're dialed. So when I'm traveling, I can tell him, hey, this is what I'm doing. So everything is tailored to me
hell yeah.
and being the best possible version of me. So if I can't train on the weekends, that's fine. And he's also provided kind of like a mental peace for me, because it used to be very much kind of unhealthy almost, where if I would travel, I'm like, oh my gosh, everything I've done is just, it's gone. It's so gone. But now when I travel, I'm just, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll jump into gyms, and I'll go to affiliates and community gatherings and whatever it looks like, and I'll just do fitness with people.
Yeah.
And that's still making you fitter. Even if you're not doing your program, it's still going to get you fitter, and I'm having fun.
Yeah, I do. I've had a weird kind of journey with fitness to where, when I was competing at a super high level, it was like all I did.
Elite level.
Yeah, like I was, my normal split was 2 hours in the morning and 3 at night. 3 at night was all I did. To where now obviously it looks a lot different. And who I worked with in the past was Matt Bryant. Still work with him in a capacity of more of the mental side now, and like body awareness, and bounce ideas off each other. And he kind of guides me, like, here's kind of what you should be doing type thing. And all that to say, like, like you said, like adjustment to kind of what you're doing. I've created this morning routine to where the other collective is a mile south of us. So every morning I run to the gym. I do 100 cals on the bike, 100 cal row, 100 cal ski, push-ups, sit-ups, and then walk back. And that's like a baseline for me because as you'll probably experience this week, or if Nick has told you, like my work schedule is absolutely insane. And sometimes I just physically can't do it. And I think, so to me, it was like a mental check of like getting that baseline of work in early in the morning is like, all right, it doesn't bother me as much if like I don't get something in.
What's a non-negotiable now? You know what I mean? That's what you're going to do, and having a list of those things that no matter where you are in the world, no matter what day it is, no matter how you're feeling, you're going to do it. That's the key.
Yeah, and I think it was like an interesting point in my life when I transitioned out of the military, because when I was in the military, I was forced to be at work at 9 o'clock.
Right.
Like no questions asked. And then I also majority of the time like had to do some sort of workout with my team in the morning. But ever since, obviously now I fully work for myself, it's kind of like, well, like there's things to be done, but kind of start whenever I want. Like no one's really like holding me that. Yep. Right. And so when you talk about the non-negotiable, it's like one of the things that I think got to a breaking point for me. It was funny when it happened, Nick like woke up and like I was coming back from a run and he was like, what the hell's going on? But like one of the things that was bothering me is I would wake up still at 6:30, but I would lay in bed until 8:45
and scroll,
answer emails. Like I would start working, and then it would be like, then I would get in here and work and do all this. Like, oh, missed my workout today. Like, damn. To where that kind of put me in the mindset of like, oh, when I was in the military, I was forced to get up and start doing stuff. Why not? If I'm already awake, just fucking go. And so that's when it kind of started this. Like it started with a walk, and then it was like we were walking like 3.5 miles every day because we both got on that train. And then I think a couple days when Xander was in town, it was kind of one of these things where it was like, oh, I'm just like still missing my workout because like I'm just so busy. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go to the gym, do like the not bare minimum, but like do something to where then like if I squeeze it in at the end of the day, cool. If not, like I've already done 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, like moving on about my day.
You're gonna be generally fitter.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, and I think the biggest thing is nutrition. Nutrition plays a huge role in athletes and CrossFit. And obviously I just need to adjust my nutrition a little bit to where I don't need to slam 400 grams of carbs because
I'm my guy. He's great.
You actually have to eat throughout the day?
What's that?
You actually have to eat throughout the day?
Oh my word. If you're my athlete, stop listening. But it got to a point where I wasn't eating at all. Yeah. It'd be like 6 p.m. and Nick would be like, yeah, like, have you eaten? I'm like, nope.
Is that why we have cookies on the table?
We have cookies because shout out Sydney, my amazing assistant, makes these peanut butter chocolate chip cookies that increases my weight by 10 pounds every time. But yeah, I don't know, it was just kind of along the lines of like not having that routine.
Right.
It was like then I would leave to go work and then I'd be swamped with work and then it'd be like 6 p.m. and be like, damn, I should probably eat something today.
100%.
Slaps like 2 pounds of ground beef and then just fall asleep, do it again. So cool. Well, from a perspective of working with different brands, what do you think is kind of fun in that aspect of like growing your social media, kind of the experiences you maybe have? Like what's like the funnest experience you've had with different brands?
Oh, wow. I don't even know. I think before I even signed on with LSKD, going to their HQ was one of the coolest things I've ever done. Yeah, it's in Loganholme, so it's right outside of Brisbane. And James Newbury, if you guys know him, he was with Under Armour at the time. Now he's with LSKD with us. Yeah. But he was like, you have to go there. It's the coolest thing ever. And in my mind, if someone's telling me to go somewhere that's not sponsored by them and they're making big bucks from someone else, okay, it's probably worth it. I'll probably take the train and we'll go. Yeah. I went out there and it was the most fun. I met the CEO, I met the CMO, I met everybody in their head office, and they gave me a tour of the gym. They have a gym upstairs. They have a shopping in the front. All of their offices are open. The whole place is so welcoming. And I spent like almost a whole afternoon there just having so much fun. And I met the whole team. And then after that, like nothing could ever compare to being immediately brought into a community that owes you nothing. Like, no, we just want to give you everything we have.
Interesting.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
I can kind of pick that up from their social media, just seeing their team and everybody on there. They just seem like cool, fun, genuine people.
The Aussie office,
and all of our interactions with them have been great.
Good.
Yeah, no, we love LSKD.
Yeah.
Shout out LSKD.
Shout out.
I'm wearing their shorts right now.
Great story too.
they're announcing. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyways. 'Cause I think yours is coming out in like 4 weeks probably from now. They made these new shorts for big thighed individuals like myself.
Very inclusive brand.
Very inclusive brand.
They're ahead of their time with that.
Yeah, because I love their shorts, but it's always funny when I get a minor leg pump, they turn into underwear real quick.
What's wrong with Hoochie Daddy shorts?
They're Hoochie Daddy
What's wrong
shorts
with Hoochie Daddy?
until we go mega viral.
We've already
People
talked about this.
Yeah.
$12.99.
Dang, you're expensive.
Yeah, he's an expensive bitch.
Hey, demand's there.
Exactly.
But yeah, so anyways, I'm really looking forward to those. I think we're gonna work with them on some stuff, and can't wait to try those. That's what I'm excited for. And then High Rocks, jumping into High Rocks.
Yeah. How much time do we got?
They're not gonna kick us out right away, so we probably got about 15 minutes,
All right.
10 minutes.
I'd love to hear about your journey into the work that you're doing. So you graduated from A&M, then you moved here to UT. How did you get into the realm of MC, announcing, and all of that?
So that's fun, and it makes sense with everything that I do now and the way that I live my life now. So right out of grad school was the end of COVID, and I was working with a candle company. I was telling you guys about this last night, doing all the partnerships, which is so much fun, and that's what I went to grad school for. So I always thought that I was going to be super behind the scenes. No one would know who I am. Nobody needs to know who I am. And I would just make everyone else look really good and bring everything in. Everyone's really happy. And then we all stopped doing that. I started coaching, just giving something to do, coaching all the time. Someone came up to me and said, hey, you should
Is
do
that
this.
when you found CrossFit? Or?
No, I found CrossFit. I was actually bullied into CrossFit.
How'd you get bullied into CrossFit?
Someone just kept saying, no, you have to do this. You have to do it. You're going to love it. You're going to love it.
Gotcha.
Growing up, I was always told, no, you can't do that. And I just, in my mind, I was like, well, if I was told my entire life not to do that, then okay, I'm not going to do it now. I'm not very rebellious. So bullied into it. Yeah, we're the opposites there. I was bullied into it. And then someone thought I'd be good at doing the MC work. And in my mind, I had convinced myself that I had social anxiety. And I was like, oh, there's no way I would hate that. People looking at me when I'm talking, absolutely not. Please don't. Please no. But on the High Rocks note, I did a High Rocks. It was my first event. I think it was the U.S. World Championships in Chicago. I think was the first ever event. 2021.
Oh, so you're like recent into CrossFit.
Yeah. But that was, I started CrossFit 2 years before that.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't like MC or anything.
Oh, your MC event was the
My
first one was
MC
High Rocks.
step.
I thought like your first competition was High Rocks.
Gosh, no, I have not done a High Rocks yet.
Got it.
And so I was doing that, loved it. And then within that first year, I did High Rocks, Wadapalooza, Madrid Championship, Torian Pro, Dubai Fitness.
Just dove
Which
in.
are the almost five of the most major events within my sport. I did that in the first year, which is disgusting to say that that was what I was able to do in that year, but it wasn't because of me. It was because of everybody else around me. It was entirely everyone else.
Huh. Interesting.
Why was it because of everybody else?
They were so nice, and they just wanted me to experience what they were doing and bring me in, which is so much about the community of the sport. Is everyone just wanted me to be there.
It's interesting. I don't know what you're gonna ask, but one of the things, it's a parallel in life. I think one of the things I always preach to people is networking is your favorite friend.
But it's not even networking; it's just caring about people. Like I don't care if anything ever comes from it. I'm still gonna be nice to you. I'm still gonna.
And that's more so what I mean by like networking. It's like not networking in the event of like to get something out of somebody, but networking to get into a crowd that you want to be with and you value, and they value you, and you value who they are as a person and what they stand for. It's like. I've seen so many doors open up around just being people that are being around people that are like-minded versus like individuals I've tried to communicate with for 12 months and it's like still can't get on the same damn page versus, you get in the right room with the right people that click and the right energies and it's like, I'll open up the world for you, right?
Well, it kind of goes back to your purpose. I think this is something that I've always believed as I've seen success with my job and in life is when you step into what your purpose actually is, the doors will open. And you're not even going to have to open those doors. They're going to open. If you're always slamming your head on the door, it's not where you're supposed to be. Choose another door.
I used to always say something from a perspective like do it for a story or like do it for an opportunity.
Do it for the plot. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like I guess that's what the kids are saying nowadays. Do it for the plot.
You're so trendy.
Yeah. And it was just kind of along those lines. Sorry, I think I got something stuck in my nose. it was along those lines. Like, that's kind of what it was. It was
Right.
like, hey, like, I'm going to go knock on the door. I'll walk in it and maybe I'll walk out, and it was the worst experience ever. But I walked in it and I experienced that.
Not
Or,
everyone gets in the door.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. But when you're at the door, you got to knock.
Right.
Like, I can't tell you how many people I've, like, on the consulting side of what I do. And it's like, hey, like, you should probably expand this. Like, oh, we haven't, like, we don't do that, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, like, did they tell you no? Or, like, what happened? Like, oh, no, we haven't tried. It's just, like, we didn't want to. And it was like, all right. Like, I don't really know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Like you can't get anything unless you ask. Like,
Yep.
So that's an interesting way to put that. That's deep. That's deep.
Wow.
What else you got from it? You guys are both creators, I feel like, in some sort of capacity.
Yeah,
You
we had a
got it.
conversation about this a while ago. Kind of like her art is kind of like emceeing, being able to bring out the best people to like really tell their stories. And I thought that was like a really cool way, because I was telling her about like my art is like being able to capture specific moments in time, and you know, being able to capture those for people that
Yeah.
normally wouldn't be able to do that through my camera and whatnot.
You tell stories in different ways.
Exactly.
That's a good way to do it. I don't tell any stories.
What's your form of art, Jeremy? Is this our We're Really Not Strangers question? What's your art?
I love that game. We should play.
We do it every
We do.
episode. You don't know that? I didn't have one prepared, so I just used my phone. I'm going to have to
Oh,
look
God.
one up as we're talking. I swear I'm listening. Just cut this out, Nick, or talk about something.
All right. Let's see. So, so you're in your candle company before.
Mm-hmm.
You got into like emceeing. Like, what made you like fully dive into that?
I didn't have a choice.
You didn't have a choice?
No, I didn't have a choice. So I was coaching full time and trying on weekends to go to events. And some events you can do that if they're local and you just pop out on a Friday night, come back on a Sunday, you're good. You can do everything you need to. Where I was with coaching was 18 plus hours a week. I need to leave for 4 days. No one's covering for me because they don't want, they just don't care. It doesn't
Yeah.
help them at all. And so no one wanted to cover for me.
Yeah.
And so I was at a point where if I wanted to go do this and see what I could do with it and make something of it, I had to either go full on and do that
Yeah.
or never know. And I was terrified. I was like, this is not going to go well. I know it's not going to go well. I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyway. And
that.
here we are.
Doing it scared. Mm-hmm. That's really admirable. And so, this is all obviously like kind of like self-taught, or were there like people in your life that were kind of like helping you, guiding you through like key things and like this field that you needed to do?
Kind of both. So
Okay.
I think there's who I am as a person
Yeah.
has played a lot into the jobs and the work that I do.
Uh-huh.
But then I'm also surrounded by some of the coolest and best possible people that do similar to what I do.
Yeah.
So with the emceeing, when I was starting, I would always listen to previous events so I could listen to what people were doing.
Okay.
There was some MCs that I really looked up to and how they were doing it. So I would listen to them and I would just ask, hey, how did you do that? Or why do you do it that way?
Okay.
Then when it came to sideline, the way that I've been watching, we all watch
Yeah,
sports.
we all watch sports.
We all watch sports. So you see that and you're like, dang, that's such a boring question. Why are we talking about this? That doesn't help anybody. Nobody really
Yeah.
cares how you feel after a workout. It was hard. I get it. So let's go more into that. And so that was something that I always felt lacked in at least my space was no one's telling the stories. And people have cool stories. They're given 90 seconds. You can do
Yeah, you
so
gotta
much
ask
in
the right
90
questions.
seconds. Right. So that was the first event that I did sideline at. The feedback afterwards was unreal. People were stoked to hear what I was able to bring out of athletes. And some of those stories now, just kind of in the last 6 months, have been really heavy on my mind and on my heart. And I'm so grateful that I was able to bring that out when I did, because it exists out there.
Interesting. To circle back,
Circle back.
my art form, and you could probably attest this, I truly think networking with people is my art.
Oh my God, 100%.
Yeah.
It
you should
dawned
write
on
a
me.
book.
Like, I don't know what it, like,
Yeah.
no, like, it's like, it's one of those things, like, people can say they can network well or they can, like, communicate with people. It's like,
Right.
I can, like, do it.
I've learned there's levels to this shit, and Jeremy is at damn near the top level of this.
And I don't, and obviously like I'm naturally an extrovert, so it comes really naturally to connect with people. I was in the counterintelligence world, so I knew then how to ask like really specific questions to get to know somebody. But it's just like also a passion of mine. So I think, you know, when we say art form, the reason why I hesitated, because like, yeah, there's business things I'm involved with. Right. I view it as a game. It's fun to figure things out.
Right.
But in terms of like a true art of like, if I think like even past the business, like what gets me to that point, it's meeting people.
Yeah.
Along those lines, sick transition. Shout out me. We're really not strangers. Found the best one that we're gonna do. Go. We're gonna do a couple of them real quick because we got about 10 minutes. Right. The first one is gonna be, what's one thing that you never say no to? You'll never say no to. Movement. Really?
Yeah.
What about you?
Coke
Pause.
Zero.
Pause.
You're choosing Coke Zero at a time like this over Diet Coke?
Coke Zero, Diet Coke. Something that I'll never say no to. Let's see. I'll say no to pretty much everything.
I'm the deep one out of the relationship here.
Yeah.
Because mine's going to go deep.
An excuse to hang out with family, I guess.
That's a good one. You are very family-oriented.
Very family-oriented.
I'll appreciate that.
Oh, we saw them yesterday.
Yeah. You know, one thing that I think I'll never say no to is the ability to experience life and people along the lines of the networking. That's why I kind of like transitioned well. Is like, I could be dead tired, and it's just the idea of someone was like, hey, do you want to come to dinner to meet so-and-so? And I'm like, yes. Like, I will always say yes, because one, I've experienced just literal evidence of my life and businesses that I'm involved in, that I've gone to some of these dinners and it has met someone that has changed my life financially, in a position like wherever. Or also just like from the example of like, you know, traveling to different countries and whatnot. Like, it all started with maybe meeting somebody. And so I will probably never, no matter how tired I am and what I got going on in my life, if someone's like, hey, we're going to go meet so-and-so for coffee, I don't drink coffee past 1 p.m. I will go if it's at 2 p.m. and I will suck it up for the event of like, maybe I don't get anything from that person, but maybe I do then experience like some really cool stuff.
Human connection.
Yeah, human connection is just something that like I forever cherish. Another one.
If you want me to go a little bit deeper, I can.
I mean, you said Coke Zero.
Do it.
So a little bit deeper. Let's go a whole lot deeper.
I would say doing anything for friends and family that I love, truly love and care about.
Yeah.
I'll go above and beyond, bend over backwards, do whatever I need to do if somebody asks something of me that I truly love and care about.
Yeah, I could validate that for sure.
Bam.
The other one we're going to do is, what's a piece of advice that really stuck with you? And this could be anything. It could be career related. It could just be any time in your life. I'm going to go first just because I obviously got a cheat code as you guys were talking by seeing it early. One of the things, advice, I recently talked to Nick about this. We were kind of at a really important crossroads with certain things. And it was like, no one can... There's two things that you have entire control over in your life, and it's emotions and your effort. Like, no one can tell you how to feel. Like, you are telling yourself how you want to feel about certain things. Some of it's intrinsic. Other, like, I would say 80% of it is extrinsic. You kind of... An external thing happens to you, and you kind of tell yourself how you're going to perceive that, and then you feel it emotionally, right? And there's obviously like some things that we cannot, like, there's an internal feeling, but a lot of it's external. So a lot of times what I get told is I'm really stoic or really hard to read. It's just because I've kind of mastered or attempted, I'm not going to say mastered, I constantly work on the idea of controlling my emotion. And so there's two things, the piece of advice I've gotten is there's two things that you can actually control. It's your emotions and your effort. Someone can't tell you how you feel, only you can tell you how you feel. And then your effort that you put towards anything cannot be matched by anyone else. So everyone has the same opportunity in life. Everyone's given the same, I wouldn't say the same cards, right? But the opportunities are there to where, like, you know, the business we're starting, it's like how the success of the business is truly matched just by the effort that we put in.
Yeah.
You know, it can take 6 months to get off the ground and running, or if you really put, Nick can attest this too, I've probably put 16-hour work days in the last like month. It's just effort of like, figure it the fuck out. And so that would be kind of the advice that someone stuck with me one time.
I like that. You want to go?
Yeah, I guess mine was when I was kind of getting sober, and the whole coming to terms with that and realizing that this is going to have to be like a lifetime thing for me was very overwhelming from somebody who couldn't even think about not drinking or doing anything for like a week, but just focusing on one day at a time, like control what you can today and when tomorrow comes, deal with that tomorrow, but control what you can today. And then don't stress about a week, a month, a year, 2 years, because that's out of your control. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen. But you can control what you do today. So one day at a time and worry about tomorrow.
I like that.
What about you?
Mine, there's two. I would say there's two that I kind of lean on and hold on to. First one would be don't hide your gifts and call it humility. So I think it's a good one. It's
Man,
I was told
I
that years
love
ago.
that because the whole cliche saying of cocky versus confident,
Yep.
it's like, bro, be confident in what you can do.
Yes. And don't be ashamed of that.
Yeah.
We're all very, gifted in our own ways. And I think being able to vocalize that and be like, this is a gift that I have that I'm able to do. Yours with creative and yours with people. I was given this opportunity in this lifetime to do that and to show that, and I'm going to. I'm not going to be arrogant. I'm not going to be cocky about it, but I believe that this is what I was meant to do. This is part of my purpose. And you're not being humble by, not showing that. Don't hide that either. Like, go be you. Go do that.
I love that.
I love that too.
Two more. One is I'm interested to hear your conversation or your response to this, but the first one is, what's something about our friendship that you don't get from anyone else?
Oh, that's sweet.
Because that's been interesting.
Could
Because
be
you moved. So for 5 years we've been best friends. I saw you once a year.
Yeah.
Now we're together all the time in Austin.
you guys
So
live together.
what's something that you get out of our friendship that you don't get from anyone else?
I feel like, know damn near almost everything about me on like a deep personal level. And you're very emotionally, intellectually, like very smart about all that. And so I can feel very confident coming to you with a lot of things in life and getting grounded, solid advice. Not stuff that I want to hear, but the things that I need to hear. And then just the fact that you push me in realms of life that I'm not necessarily comfortable in or that I think I'm ready for, but just taking, we're taking those steps.
Hell yeah.
That's what I would say.
I think from my perspective, it's, I think why it works, right, is like the opposite of like slowing down. You'll be the first to attest, like I don't slow down. And so there's times where it's like, you'll literally hit me with like let's just chill on the couch. And it's like, it sounds so silly, but like those little moments where it's like, fuck dude, like I do need that of just like quiet boy time. It's like chilling. Like
It's just as healthy.
I was just telling her the other day, like being present is like very important to me. So like when there's times where like, when we're at dinner, like making sure like your phone, if it's on the, like it's upside down, like in the corner, or like, just being present in moments is like very big for me. And I know when you get like a lot of things on your plate, your mind's going a million miles an hour. You've got calls, you've got emails, you've got meetings and whatnot, but there's times where you just need to be present in the moment.
No.
So.
Yeah, that's something that you're like slowly teaching me more and more. It's something that I gained from our friendship because like a lot of, like my childhood best friends, like we just bullshit all the time. Like nothing's ever serious, right? And then like I have other deep friendships that are, maybe more rooted in business. So it's like every conversation is work related. And so it's like, it's something I pull from our relationship always is like it doesn't always have to be about that, right? And it's like, and there's times that you'll just like pull it out of me where it's like, okay. I'm like, okay, he clearly doesn't want to talk about it. The last one, then we'll wrap up. Answer this how you please. Is how has your view on love evolved over time, if at all?
Oh, I think as I've gotten older, I want more of a partner than anything. I think everyone love looks differently to everybody, but being loved in a way that's also supportive, and it's like, this is your dream, this is mine. They might not be the same, but we can go together in the same direction. Yeah. And then we can find our ways and we can come together. Yeah.
I think mine is like, it's not like this fairy tale hot and spicy type thing, but it's just like your best friend that you just want to hang out with every day. Yeah. That you can just go do fun shit with, and it's easy and fun.
I think I'm going to piggyback off that and then add a little bit, right? I think for me, I think something I would look for is like someone that obviously I'm very, very busy. And it's like, so I kind of need someone that's just like my best friend that just like is a ride or die. Like, just be the homie. then obviously like there's connection, whatever. But like I think also something that like has, because of how busy and how much I travel, I think interesting how it's changed on love is that you can love someone and not have to be with them. Like you can love an individual for who they are and just be okay the fact that like, hey, like it's just not the timing right now, or like it is what it is. And just be really okay with that and the decisions that they make. So yeah. Awesome. Well, that was like a sick segment of We're Really Not Strangers. We, for 20 episodes now, have been waiting for them to sponsor us, but we get positive feedback every time we do it, so we're not going to stop either way. But Bella, thanks for coming on the show and sharing kind of your knowledge. It's really cool to hear kind of how you went from this kind of fast forward MC journey to now. I think, you know, what you're looking forward to and doing with the teenage athletes is really powerful. And then obviously like all the other stuff you got going on is super cool. So, rate the show 5 stars. Feed Murph. He needs a treat. 5-star rating.
You gotta go to college. You gotta get better rating.
1 5-star rating gets him fed. So cool. And then we'll see y'all next week. Appreciate you for listening.
Thank you guys.